Welcome to Your Untamed Life, the podcast bringing you stories of transformation, growth, fear, success, alignment, challenges, and more, with the intention to inspire you and light you up to find your own aligned path of transformation and let it unfold in front of you without letting fear hold you back. I'm Amanda Petra, your host and passionate human being. Without further ado, let's get started. Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today we have the amazing Kat Kingsley on. She's an incredible human being and honestly the baddest, toughest human being I've ever met and the most adventurous woman I've ever met. You might know her on Instagram as Perth Girl Adventures. She's come from a tough upbringing and some seriously dark times and is now so different and such an incredible beam of light. She is my soul friend and we have some seriously good soul chats. And yeah, she's a beam of light to my day, my week, my life. And it's just so great to know her. From her story, she has learned so much and can share so much that it would be a shame not to share her story. It was such a powerful, massive transformation in her life, really. And she does everything now. She is everything that you can imagine is badass. She's a badass woman. She is a motorbiker, a dirt biker, a moto coach. She's ridden enduro and she's a mountain biker, a kite surfer. She's done trials. She's just a seriously strong human being overall. She's an entrepreneur in the making and she's starting her own awesome business, which is adventure based as well, which you should definitely check out. She's now in business school and moving forward, and it's just going to be awesome watching her rise. Her next Phoenix rise is on the precipice. I can feel it. And I just hope you enjoyed today's episode. I think you will. I don't know why you wouldn't. And we start off with some, messy, real conversation before we started to drop into our episode. And we decided to leave that in. So I hope you find that all right. And I hope you enjoy that. And the whole episode, we've tried to keep it as real as possible. So I hope you enjoy the realness and enjoy the episode. I'm just going to hit record. And we're going to take a moment.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Yeah, Harmony said the exact same thing, I'm pretty sure. Breathe in, breathe out. Yep.
Yeah, before this interview, I was laying on my floor just behind me, doing some meditation for 20 minutes.
Oh, nice. Were you nervous leading up to it?
To be honest, it's excitement and nerves. I try to think of it as excitement, but actually, leaning into it, it's probably trauma, rearing its head a little bit because my conscious self wants to talk about this stuff because I want to release it and I also want to get my story out. But trauma, I think, scary, right?
Yeah, it is.
There's anxiety.
It's just your body trying to protect you, but it's okay. You're in a safe space and
exactly.
The things that have happened to you before aren't going to happen to you now just from telling your story, even though we think
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's like we were saying before, it's like learning how to lean into those things, but having tools to, I guess, move through it. It's really interesting because I used to think that yoga and meditation and breathing and everything was woo-woo and stupid.
And now we lean on it so much. It's so
That was
good.
probably, yeah, it's a game changer. It is because it's you have no choice but to look inwards. And it's so interesting. I was thinking the other day about breathing. Everyone breathes, right? But are they actually conscious of their breathing? I've become more and more conscious of when I'm busy and when I'm thinking about a million things, my breathing's really short and sharp or not relaxing anyway.
Yeah.
I'm ooh, why am I feeling anxiety? Oh, okay, I'm not breathing properly. And then you just sit there and breathe properly and you instantly feel more regulated. It's just so simple. I guess it's just having that level of consciousness and the tool to be oh yeah, that's right. I can do this.
Even as you said that, I was like, I'm breathing really shallow. I'm just gonna breathe deeper.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Okay, I'm gonna close the window. I think I might even include we just talked about because that was good. What you just
Yeah,
talked about.
sounds good. Sounds good.
So, yeah, I'll just say hi. How are you, Kat? Welcome to the podcast. How are you going?
I'm really good. I'm so grateful to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so excited for this. Your story is just so powerful that I'm just so excited to share it. And there's just so much there. I don't even know how to start. So where you're at now is just like completely like, was it 360-degree turn from where you were before? And you had to
Definitely.
overcome so much. And yeah, just the power there. I'm so excited for you to dig deep into it. And this sounds really cathartic, like a cathartic experience for you from what we were talking about before we hit record. And yeah, just if you want to start and just talk about like what your life is like now and what you've been doing and, your mindset, everything that we were talking about.
Mm. It's so interesting. So like almost don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Because everyone starts with what do you do for work? And I actually find that really boring because it doesn't actually tell
Yeah.
you, well, not necessarily tell you about the person. But I'll start with like what I love. I love the outdoors. I love adventurous activities. I am a dirt bike racer. A motorbike coach now as of last year. I have been a lifetime horse rider, and I've also just started kite surfing last season. So, and I'm a new dog mum as well, which I'm absolutely loving because I just love animals. And what else? Oh, I have been working on my new business idea in the background as well. So I'm actually studying a master's of business, and lucky enough, like I've started just finished entrepreneurship, and it was perfect because I already planned to alongside that course work on my business idea, because inside of that it's like developing your business idea, developing your pitch, like how can you pitch your business idea, and also like the full business plan of like launching a business. So lucky enough that one of the assignments was developing a business plan and a pitch, and I suggested to my teammates, can we do my business idea together? And they loved it. So yeah, really cool that we've been able to do that together. And so I'm so excited to launch later in the year. But first I've got to finish my master's of business, which finishes in June. So it's a busy time, but like I just love it. Like you said, like my life is just like 360 degrees from growing up, and I don't think I've really told my story to many people, mainly because there's so much there, but it's also quite traumatic.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was really beautiful actually. Met Rev from Savage Angels. So he's a mental health practitioner, and he runs events for teenage girls and teenage boys. And he reached out to me, when was it, a couple of months ago, and asked me to share my story. I'd never done public speaking or anything. And I'm like, oh, can I do this? I was like, no, lean into it, just fucking do it. So yeah, I think it's just like nowadays learning more about myself, learning how to deal with trauma that I've buried for so long, learning how to create a life that I truly want and I'm truly happy with. Um, and yeah, like learning to lean in and listen to myself of what I need. So yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah. And I can see you're doing an amazing job. Every day you've changed. And I was around, we just started becoming friends when you just did that public speaking event. And like, even since then, you've done so much. And that was so cool that it came up in your class that you got to work on your own business plan with your classmates.
Mm.
Yeah, that's been really awesome watching you do that. And
So
I just love
good.
how you said you leaned into it when they asked you to go on stage, because I was just thinking about like motorbike riding when you like lean back and you like kind of wheelie over bumps in the road. And I was just
Yeah,
picturing that in correlation to it. Like, yeah, lean into it.
it's kind of, I don't know. I think it's just fear. It's fear, but you know, deep in, like, again, it's like listening inwards and being like, no, you actually do want to do this. It's just fear trying to hold you back. And it's
Mhm.
like same with dirt biking, same with anything that I've gone like on a trip around, like somewhere in the world, or public speaking. So fucking scary. My heart rate was like I was running around the block. Like it was crazy, but I knew that I had to do it, and it was like a higher purpose. It was to help these teenagers because I could only imagine what they go through these days. Like, you know what it's like growing up as a teenager. You know, for me, like, you know, you never feel like you're good enough. Like you're always questioning, I don't know, your friendship circle. You think you're fat, you think you're ugly, like whatever it is. Um, and nowadays there's social media thrown in the mix. So it's like, how much pressure is that?
Yeah, just
um,
amplifying it. I can't imagine. Ugh.
yeah, it's just so it's sad. Anyway, so I guess if I can help in some small way as like a role model and they can see if they're in a hard time right now, like it is possible to move through it. Like no area of your life is going to be always easy. There's always going to be ups and downs, but like if you choose the right path, you can get through it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so cool. You are a role model now. And it's kind of shows you what, like, a reason maybe why you had to go through what you went through, because you're strong enough to overcome it and you're strong enough to help others because of your experiences.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk about it for so long because I was so scared of judgment, like so scared. I remember the first time I told my partner about my past and I was shaking. Like I was like, he's not gonna like me anymore.
Oh,
But in actual fact, I'm learning more and more that, you know, even I, if I listen to people's stories, I don't judge them on their past. I look at them and go, fuck yeah, like you've managed to move through that. You're talking about it. Even just talking about it is fucking scary. But like you're moving through that fear.
yeah, it's so powerful. And yeah, even just like me talking about my past, I was shaking when I had to tell my partner, but I like heard a lot of your story and I'm just like, there's so much there. I like, no shit, you were shaking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're so awesome. You're so badass.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so what was like scaring you about it though? Like the judgment of what were you thinking? What would
Um,
happen?
I think it comes back to like I don't know, like it, yeah, I think just judgment from people on what I used to be like. Like, and maybe that comes from my conditioning. I don't know. I guess just fear of, yeah, maybe a fear of bringing down what I've created now,
Hmm.
the identity that I've created now. I think that that's really scary if someone, yeah, it's
Yeah, there's so
interesting.
much
Like, I
more to lose kind of thing, maybe.
definitely, like, I definitely have a fear of judgment or not being good enough. Definitely. Um, so yeah, that's something that I'm always working through for sure.
Yeah, I think we all are. But yeah,
Mm.
it doesn't show that you're working on it, but yeah, you're amazing at it. Um, so I guess if you do want to go back a little bit and dig into like your past, and then we'll move forward through it and just kind of talk about how you've developed and how you've changed since then.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I'll go way back. But so I, um, I grew up as a third, like, middle child. So my mum and dad had three children. And I don't actually remember that much from my childhood, which is really interesting because my therapist says that's indicates like quite a bit of trauma when you can't remember quite a lot. But yeah, like we grew up in North Beach in Perth. We grew up in this like Homes West like house with green walls, and we had a dog there. Well, actually, we had lots of animals, and that's I guess where my love of animals came from. We had like mice, bloody birds, dogs, cats, like anything you could think of, hamsters, bloody hermit crabs.
That's awesome. I had hamsters and ferrets and all the random
Yeah.
stuff too.
Yeah, and I was convinced that I could have a horse in the backyard. Like, always loved horses, always, always. So yeah, anyway, so like, yeah, growing up, like dad did leave when we were really young. I still remember the day to this day, of us sitting on this green ugly chair, crying together. And yeah, it's, I don't know, it's haunted me to this day, I think. And then like mum did the best she could with us three kids. But yeah, we were really poor. You know, some weeks we didn't have any food to eat. Like luckily there was like these good semi hampers that we could get. And there was like this seconds shop, you know, when like the dates are going out of date, but not yet. You can still sort of, I don't know what you call it, almost out of date.
Yeah. There's like a
So we used
separate
to go
shop for that.
separate shop. Yeah, it was like in this old like building thing that I remember going into, and yeah, and it's just I don't know. Like we never really went without food, but it was always a bit of a struggle. Yeah. And yeah, like our it was always interesting to look back because like our clothes were always like op shop clothes, like couldn't afford to get new clothes. And I think as a child, I actually don't care these days. Like I don't care. But I think as a child, you always look at what other children have and like the food that they can afford and the clothes that they have. And I don't know, you always just feel a little bit separate and potentially not good enough. I don't know. So yeah, that was kind of like the young years. Like I was always pretty sporty. Like mum really did a really good job of like keeping us into sports like tennis and soccer and I don't know what else I played. And I could and she when she could afford it, she'd take me horse riding, like to horse riding lessons and stuff, which was awesome because like literally anytime we'd drive past a horse, it would be like, oh, can we stop and feed it? And just obsessed.
Yeah, I was the same. And that was, yeah, I was just grateful. My mom scraped it together and did it too. I love that your mom always put an effort into putting you into sports and all of that, because that would have just like lifted your spirits completely, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Always put you first, it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like, thinking back now, like, you know, she would have had it really fucking tough, like, trying to raise three kids on her own and yeah, so dad had it like he had us like every second weekend. But yeah, he's very angry, and all I remember from my childhood is like a lot of anger, which we can talk about later, you know, nowadays. But yeah, it was interesting. And anyway, so because they separated, we used to stay at his house every fortnight. He was renting because he also didn't have any money. And at a young age, like his housemate like used to take me in his room and like kind of touch me inappropriately. And yeah, it was like so for years and years and years, I never told anyone, mainly because I didn't think that there was anything wrong with that. I was like, intuitively, I know there's something wrong with that. But at the same time, you're like, oh, but it wasn't this. So it was fine. Oh, but he was nice to me. It was fine. Like, so much fucking shit there that you just never knew how to like communicate or tell anyone or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
when the adults around you can't communicate either, like it's obviously not your fault you can't communicate that. And yeah,
and I think like also because my dad knew that was like he didn't know what was happening, but he knew that I was in that room. And he never did anything or said anything. And I don't know. I think that this potentially, I don't exactly know when everything started to unravel with the trauma and like leading to other things, but that's the first memory that I can think of that, you know, I still think of, like still pops up in my mind to this day. It's just, it feels so wrong. Um, but anyway, like, yeah, and then like moving into school days, like I don't know, I just started losing myself, like especially in high school. Always kind of had lots of friends, but I never felt like I kind of fitted with one group. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, it was kind of interesting. And I think that's maybe because I was like losing a bit of myself. I was like still into sports a little bit, but just never quite happy. Like, yeah. Um, and then I went through a period of like, trying to remember if it was before or after, but I think it was after. So I ended up getting, because I was just feeling a bit lost, I ended up getting mixed up with some really bad people, into drugs and stuff. And I think it all went downhill from there because I think linking with that, you know, became more and more disinterested in school, more and more disengaged, more and more like just lost, just so fucking unhappy with myself. And I didn't feel like I had a mentor at the time or anything like that. Um, and I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone about it. And then it spiraled even further. Like I used to self-harm. Um, I was depressed at the time. Like I was on antidepressants. I don't know if they did anything, but
Mm.
um, and then yeah, then like I think in year 10, like I ended up quitting school because I was just wagging so much. Like I was like, what the fuck is the point? Um, and yeah, I was working. I decided to just work at Macca's full time. And I was like, yep, cool. Just focused on $300 a week. Um, and yeah, like it just spiraled even further, like taking drugs and to the point where I ended up having to nearly go to rehab. And this is at age like 14. Um, yeah, just so fucking lost in life.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
At
and then
14, so you dropped out at 14 and then went to Macca's. Were you already like into drugs and you're like, I'm going to make money to get Macca's?
mm,
Yeah, fine.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
I can remember
Um,
those days in my like if someone would have let me like, I would have went that way too. Like it's just horrible.
It was, yeah, it's pretty fucked up to think about because like my boyfriend at the time, I think I must have been, I was 14 and I'm pretty sure he was 21. So he fucking knew better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was very easily influenced for sure. Like I
Right.
was just so much lack of direction, everything. Just disengaged, depressed. Yeah. Yeah, so it's always really interesting to talk about because it feels like a completely different person. Like I almost can't believe like stuff used to happen. Like it, and it also turned into like eating disorder as well. So like not only was I self-harming, but I was like throwing up on my food. And I don't know, just kind of like numbing. I don't even know how that works, but like feeling like you just want to numb whatever pain you have. Um, and yeah, so the catalyst was um I think it was the night that I ended up overdosing. And I remember seeing mum in the hospital at the end of my bed and just crying and seeing there's some emotion coming up.
That's okay.
And and seeing her face and I was like, she has just gone through so much shit. Like I couldn't even imagine what she'd be feeling seeing her kid, you know, in a hospital bed because of drugs. And it's like it's so fucked up. Like, and you know, it wasn't instant change, but from that, from seeing that, like it was like a catalyst for change for me. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm like hanging around these bloody grappa people, druggies, like no direction in life. Like I fucking hated myself, just so much shit. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. And I was really lucky because not many people can just change. Like I literally had to stop hanging out with so many people, like everyone I knew into that stuff, I had to stop hanging out with. And I think, I'm trying to think back, but I think that I had some friends that I previously knew that I was still sort of friends with, but I lost touch through this phase. And I think I reached out to them, and I think that they really helped me get through this, creating a different environment, seeing a different path in life, but also finding horse riding again. It saved my life. Like, and this is why I'm so passionate about the outdoors and doing adventurous activities. It's like with a horse, it's like you can go on these adventures like with just you and your horse. And it was just so wholesome and a place where you could go and feel happiness and no judgment, just a really fucking good environment. And I used to go riding like I think once I found a horse like 5 times a week, nearly every day. And it honestly saved my life. Like I can't, yeah.
Yeah. Well, riding a horse and going off on like an adventure on your own too is just building so much trust in yourself. Must have been like great, like change and a great, just like slow development because the horses just have like this beautiful, they just like hold the space for you to be able to get your own act together because it's like a give and take relationship. They're so beautiful.
Yeah. There's so much there, and I think that's why, there is equine therapy. There's lots of animal therapy. But I really felt that really helped me. And I guess just like have somewhere else to focus my attention. And what's physical activity as well. And so I think that all of that combined like really helped for sure.
Yeah, releasing those good endorphins and dopamine and all that. Yeah. When you can't really get out of your own mind and you don't really have a support network around you, like just getting more of that in and leaning more towards the good stuff in that kind of direction, not the dopamine from the drugs and stuff. Yeah, can imagine. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's like you've got to change all your habits or your routines. Like, but you think you can't just go. I don't think someone could do it if they didn't have something else. Like, I don't want to call it a distraction, but something else to focus on. Like, for example, they can't just go, oh, I'm going to just change my whole life and sit inside. But it's like something else to make you feel good, something else to make you feel wholesome, like healthy way to make you feel wholesome and like loved, I guess.
Yeah, fulfilled and loved. Animals are great.
Fulfilled.
Yeah.
Purpose.
Purpose, yeah. Because
Yeah. So that really helped me get back on a path. And then I think I was about 18. It must have been 18 when I did have a job before this job, but I was still kind of finding my way, finding my feet, finding myself. And so it was actually my first job was like a junior accountant. I was definitely still mentally very young and going through drama in my life. So yeah, it's probably very understandable that they didn't really want me. I think I stayed for a few months, but they were very nice, and they tempted me out to a oil and gas company, and so I got to this oil and gas company and was, oh, I really like these people. I think I realized like I was getting another chance at another job. And I think I also found, I guess, my feet or realization that I actually thrive off learning new things. Like I thrive off meeting new people, learning new things, and I guess progressing. And I feel like that's really fed from never wanting to go back to the way I was before. And being like, fuck no, like I'm gonna make myself like best fucking life ever.
Yeah, you are.
um, but yeah, I guess it just started there and then like created some more structure. But with that company as well, they were really big on the gym. And I wasn't into the gym then, I was into horse riding, but I started the gym and I became obsessed. Like I used to go twice a day. They used to let us go in the lunch break, which was awesome. It was at King's Park as well. So it was just so good. Like I don't know, I just found such a passion for it, and I guess the mental resilience that comes with that, like the goals, the mindfulness. I just like, I guess the sense of achievement when you've like finished a set or a session or whatever, like it just, and endorphins, of course, like
Mhm.
um yeah, I just loved it,
Yeah,
and
and it's
that
trackable.
started my,
You love that.
sorry.
And it's
uh,
trackable goals. You definitely love that. I can just see it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like super structured. I'm more in my head. Like if I put down, well, actually, no, that's a lie. I do put down plans for the week and I stick to it. Um, but no, I never.
You
I
have
kind
room for like spontaneity though. You do. You always leave room for
of
that.
do, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like if I get to the gym and there's like, I used to get some fucking froth of like planning my own workouts. Like I don't know, it's weird, but um, I just frothed it. And yeah, so if I'd get to the gym and I just really, really didn't feel like doing that particular exercise, I'd just do something else. But um yeah, like I don't know, it just started my fitness journey, I think. And I guess a healthier way to life. And then of course, once you're in the gym, you're like, like you start thinking about your energy and what you're eating and like I guess a healthier way of eating to complement like the work that you're doing in the gym. And it's really just like to feel better, feel like you start, I guess the mindfulness comes from the gym, and then you become mindful of like, if I eat shit, it makes me feel like shit.
Yeah. It's a really good
um,
point. And then you start to fuel your workouts, and then you realize you can also fuel like the rest of your day as well. Like I always noticed you're like, okay, if I don't eat before, like I have to do my morning, like actual work, like at a computer, then my brain is foggy as well. I feel like you just start to notice it in your like external life as well.
100%, and it's so valuable because and it seems so simple, but it's not that simple for people.
Mm.
Like I know because I don't know, I talk to other people and they're like, I never thought about that. I never thought about having coffee on an empty tummy is not necessarily like good for you, or it affects your energy levels. Like that's something that I've learned over time, and trying to deal with certain health issues and energy levels. It's like when you eat and what you eat and what you drink, how much sugar you eat. It seriously does. I mean, for me, it affects my energy levels for sure. So
Mhm.
I guess it's just like being conscious of that, but not restricting yourself too much. I think, yeah, you can go either way, I think.
Yeah, you can go balls to the wall and fuck it up as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
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 there's going to be balance and yeah, with the structure. Can enjoy it.
yeah,
Mm.
definitely. Yeah, for sure.
But clearly your like love for learning and stuff made you dig into that and see that there was more uses for what you were learning. And there's other people that just, just don't think that way. They don't want to constantly progress, so they don't apply it to other parts of their life. And
Yeah, maybe it's just not their focus, or they haven't had the time, or maybe, yeah, the focus to learn it, I guess.
mm,
Or this space, like we were talking about the other day. It's like you may hear, actually, I've got a funny story about this. I have been telling my dad for years, like about healthy eating and these supplements and whatever. And then he got cancer, right? And this is like while he got cancer. And then like not even that long ago, he came to me and he's all excited and he's telling me about these this food and these diets and these supplements. And I'm like, I've been telling you this for years.
Oh no. Yeah. But like we were talking about the other day, it lands when it lands, and it lands from someone else usually, and it's
Definitely.
completely unexpected. I don't know why. There's a whole bunch of shit he must have had to shed before he was like open to hearing it. Fuck.
Yeah, and I
So
think
frustrating.
oh yeah, I think I just learned from that, like you can um, what's the what how do you describe it? Like you want to support people, but you can't. I wouldn't say I shoved it in his face, but it was more like when you're trying to make someone change or see the light, like they just have to do it in their own time. So it's like, okay, well, you can offer up information and support, but whether they take it or leave it, like you can't tie expectations to that anymore. Like I've realized that I can't tie it because I was getting real depressed over it. Not only for my dad, but like my mum as well, because she's got multiple sclerosis. And for years I was like, I don't know, I guess I was just trying to find something that would help. And she's not interested in hearing about anything like to do with natural supplements or anything like that. She'd rather take Panadol from the doctor. And like for so long I had been frustrated with that. And now I'm like, you know what? Release that. Like it's her choice. You still love her. Like it's her path in life. Don't let this come between you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's actually not doing anything good for anyone. So I think it's just a real big realization to go, just because you value this a lot doesn't necessarily mean that they have to see the light in it.
For sure. Do you think it might come like, would that maybe come from when you were kind of in the darkness? And do you think that you would have taken the advice from someone that was kind of in the light, or do you think that you kind of want to help people and show them the light so much because you wish that someone would have just come to you and shown you like there's a way that you could do this differently, there's a way that you can get out of this darkness?
Half of that, yes. I don't think I would have listened. I
Yeah.
think I need to find my own path for sure. And I think that that comes back to what I've experienced when I try and show other people like it's healthy eating and it makes you feel so good and whatever. Um,
You would have just been
but
like, nah, fuck off.
yeah, I don't listen. Like, and the same with me. Like, I didn't listen when my sister used to talk about energies and yoga and meditation. I'd be like, this load of shit.
It's
And
so
now,
weird. Yeah.
years later, I 100% believe in it. Like, I
Mm,
feel it. My whole body feels it. Um, so I just think it's like it's not an FU to that person. It's like it's just not your time to learn that, maybe.
yeah. You just got to calibrate to that frequency, I think. Like you're like at a 1 and they're like at a 4, and you're just like, I haven't quite tuned into where you're at or what that means or how that actually feels. So I don't know what you're talking about. As much as you can like comprehend it in your brain, you just like, I can't. Like it's not coming in. But it's so
Yeah,
funny that you say what you just said, because there's so many instances in your life where people are just so resistant to you being like I can help you. Like I have the information. You're just like, it's interesting how that keeps
yeah,
coming up for you.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Susan. I don't know when she got into it, but it was probably more in my 20s that she, when I was into like my mad gym phase where I'd go like twice a day and it'd be all like, "Rah," like weights and cardio and whatever. And like, I just found yoga boring. Like, and now I know that that's probably because I'm like masking my whatever with doing and doing and doing and being busy and whatever. Um, but now I'm a lot more conscious of it. Like I recognize how different my body feels when I do yoga or breathing or meditation. Um, yeah. So yeah, it's just a different feeling.
Yeah. There's phases for all of it too. Like I think I started in yoga, and then I came to gym, and then, I've done all the things. Like there's like you could probably go back to just being in the gym and not doing yoga at some point. Like this,
Mm,
just what your body needs and what your mind needs at the time. But it's so cool being open to the different modalities, the different energies of each kind of activity, because you've done all the activities, so now you know. Mm.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like something that once probably after this racing season, like so this year is very focused on racing because there's a 4 day, like a national 4 day enduro that I'm training for. So like I've even said to Laurie, like I'm sorry, but I kind of have to push kite surfing to the side. Like I actually really need to train in the gym off the bike, and I need to do at least, 2 training sessions on the bike maybe per week. So I know that's just going to be the focus for this phase.
Mm.
But like I did this thing called SAS sessions, SAS dancing. I'll think of the name another time, but um, it was like this dance class, and it was so cool. Like I think I'm wanting to lean a bit more into the feminine energy, because I am in masculine energy so much, with work and with gym and like with, I guess, masculine energy, I guess writing as well. Um, but yeah, like I'm actually quite excited to start exploring that a bit more, like the like dance and playfulness and joy and sensual sort of feeling, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a cool balance that you can find. Is this like sashes, like with like flowy fabric dancing? Is that what it is?
No, I'll just send it to you. I bloody can't remember the name right now, but
That's
it's
okay.
called Sass something.
But yeah, you do a lot of everything now, which is like so good to watch that you and now that you're aware of that you're in the masculine energy, you're making more space for the feminine energy. That's so important, and so it's so cool that you can catch yourself now and just be like, I need a little bit more of this.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. Like, and it's so interesting because these days I'm very aware. Yeah, I can't remember if I said it before, but very aware of my energy, and I will only do stuff if it feels right. Like, I'll have things planned in because I just have to if I want to achieve these things. But like if like I know my energy levels, if I really cannot mentally and physically go to the gym, I will not force myself. Like I spent years of having like fucking almost chronic fatigue and like health issues because I never listened to my intuition and never listened to my body, and I just pushed through everything and I burnt myself out for sure. So it's just not worth it for me. I think finding a healthy balance mentally and physically is just so important to learn how to do. So whether that's like, you know, I'm pretty regular with the gym mainly because I have that goal, but I'll make sure that I go for a walk on the beach and I don't take my phone and I literally just like be present at the beach. I notice the color of the water, the grains of sand, the clouds in the sky. Like I'm trying to get better at being present in certain moments for sure. Because I think when you're someone that likes achieving, that's not always easy to be present in the moment. But I'm very aware that I am like that. And I'm kind of always looking to the next thing. But I'm constantly always working on trying to be present as well, instead of thinking about another thing and another thing.
Yeah. Oh, well, awareness is the first step. And yeah, you're
Yeah,
doing a great job. You figured out how like it works for you, just leaving your phone, going to the beach. Yeah. You got to find what works for you, really. And
yeah.
yeah, it sounds like you're achieving that as well. It's like an achievement itself, so it's working really well. It's good.
Yeah. I think it's just really beautiful to have the awareness because not everyone finds that easy.
Hmm.
And I think that comes back to emotional regulation as well, because when you're in a stress state, like, you're not always conscious of what's going on and where that's coming from and how you can deal with it. And I am so grateful that I have somehow found a way to regulate my emotions quite well, and be aware of what I need. Yeah.
How do you think what were the first kind of steps you took to kind of find that point?
It would be very hard to pinpoint, but I think over the years it's not one particular time. Like it doesn't just happen overnight. It's like a layers and layers and layers of things that I've done over the years to get myself where I am. So it's like finding the gym and building mindfulness and mindset and goals and like um what else? And I think finding like the outdoors as well. I still can't fully describe what it does, but I think it just creates space in your head, like for me anyway. Um, it creates that connection back to nature. It's grounding. And I don't know, like shitty thoughts just drown out of my head. Like they just do.
It's
And it becomes
mindfulness. Yeah.
it's mindfulness. Like it's I don't
Yeah.
know, just being out in the bush or being at the beach, not necessarily when people are around. Like I feel like I'm very sensitive to people's energy, so I don't necessarily like to be around a whole heap of people. Um, but yeah, I think just learning what works for you and I think you can only do that by trying things and then being like, huh, how did that make me feel? Like I found, bushwalking and I'm like, holy shit, my soul fucking loves this. Like I feel good. I feel calm. I feel clarity. Like you can only do that by trying things. And I think I just feel lucky that I have found, the outdoors, the beach, the bush, and also, activities like mountain biking and dirt biking. Um, and so, but they're on different levels of energies, I think. Like if I'm feeling energized and I want that, what is it, adrenaline rush, then obviously I'll go and do a sport. But if I know that my energy needs something calmer, something more still, not necessarily doing something or having to focus too much, then I will go for a casual walk, like get away from technology, because that's also something that I've noticed really affects my energy if I'm on technology too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate as I work in the digital space. Yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
you just abandon your phone and completely just switch off.
yeah,
And I just love that you have the balance of like all the activities you can choose between. Yes, you have those really high adrenaline ones, and the bushwalking is kind of like middle ground. And then you have like I can just go for a walk or a stroll or yeah, it's really good.
yeah,
It's really, really, really important. And yeah, okay. So clearing away the mind, yeah, all the thoughts with that. That what we were talking about there was like mindfulness from those activities is like you can't really pay attention to like your to-do list and all of that while you're doing especially the adrenaline sports that you do or riding horses or even just bushwalking. And that's just like that is mindfulness in itself, just realizing that you are this human being in this outdoor space with this vehicle, this vessel, this bicycle or this motorbike or these hiking shoes on this side of the cliff. Like yeah, it's just a really, really easy way to practice mindfulness, I feel like.
definitely. Yeah, 100%. I feel that. Like there's just no space. I don't know, like especially when you're doing like dirt biking, there's no space for just thoughts other than what you're doing.
Yeah, or you'll just
I
injure
was
yourself.
gonna, I was gonna say negative thoughts, but there's definitely negative thoughts that come through always because that's conditioning. But I think these days I'm very good at flipping it, like really good. I'm like, oh, that corner sucked. Oh, well, you just try it again and do it again. You
Yeah,
can get better.
yeah. It's actually funny how in motorbiking so many negative thoughts can come up. Well, actually, it just seems like a thing that just comes up for females doing those sports. Because the guys are just like, well, I'll just kill myself around this corner. That's cool. I'll just take it as fast as I possibly
Yeah,
can. Whereas we just
it's
like overthink it.
definitely like it's really interesting to think about. Like I don't know what males think like, but I know that physio like we are we are just different. We're different makeups, right?
Mhm.
And yes, like history shows that we, as females overthink things quite a bit, and we probably worry a lot more, whereas males have been shown to like they kind of just kind of do it.
Mm. It makes
And
sense though. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
and
we need to like take care of our bodies for like, reproducing and all of that. And that's all like in our genes and in our like core biology, where it's like, so that's why we
yeah,
overthink, I think. So we make sure
yeah,
that we're okay so that we can continue on our generations. And
yeah.
it's just something you just can't push past. Well, you can work on it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it potentially takes females longer, like to get over that fear and push through it. That's just my feeling or my personal experience anyway.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it's very interesting to think about. But I think the only way to get through it is to just keep going. Like you just keep trying, keep going, keep trying. And being mindful about like what you're feeling, how you're enjoying it, and what you're learning. And then, reflecting on I'll always reflect on a ride, for example, and I'm uh, like, what could I improve on, or what could I focus on next time, or something like that. But like, I'm usually catch myself if I want to be super critical of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't let those thoughts come in, basically. Just like
Yeah.
ping, ping, ping.
But you gotta just laugh about it because it's like it's meant to be fun, but you're also like, I want to progress. So there's a lot of like, you
I
gotta laugh,
know.
but yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all right. That's okay. That's all right. Is there like any other, like, where could we go back to, like, what kind of like limiting beliefs and stuff have you had to crush through your whole life? There's so many there, I'm sure. I just wanted to go back to that and just think about, like, yeah, I don't know, were there any specific ones that kind of you pushed through to become the brave, amazing human you are now, specifically?
Um, Limiting beliefs. I mean, there's definitely one that I'm still working on, like I said, like is, not being good enough. Or, I look at other and this is why sometimes I delete my social media, because I'm like, I look at other people and I literally don't think that I can do what they can do. But in reality, I know that I can. It's just a limiting belief that I have that keeps popping up, and I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah, just delete.
Um, and the only way I know how to move through that is like take scary action. Like I'm not always good at taking scary action. Like yeah, it's so interesting. Like when I signed up for the Masters of Business, I was working FIFO at the time, and I again like I just never felt good enough. But I also knew like I'd hit the glass ceiling in my job, and I was like, I love learning. I want more. Like I don't want to be FIFO forever either. Um, so stuff it. Just like try and sign up. And I remember the first time, because I hadn't finished school either. It wasn't easy to get into uni. Um, and I remember the first time I decided to think about study, and I was like, what else is there? What else can I do? I'm not happy in FIFO. I'm starting to feel depressed. Like I'm starting to develop bad habits as well. Um, and I remember calling a university and they're like, no, you actually need to finish year 12 and all this stuff. And I was like, fuck, like there's no, it was just really frustrating because you're like, I was so excited about something, but then it's, not happening.
So many
But
barriers, yeah. But you
and
clearly overcame all those barriers.
yeah, yeah. So it was really interesting because I think there was about a year in between that when I first called and I was first looking at universities and going, oh, well, I wonder about engineering, or I don't know, just something. And they said no, and I basically took their word for it and I didn't look into it further. And then I was getting more and more unhappy in FIFO. And I actually can't remember why I thought I could sign up after. I think I looked into it again, even deeper, and then it turned out I could get in, but for a letter of being a supervisor in the mines because of leadership experience, and and yeah, I got into a master's. I remember flying to Sydney, and a master's of business. Like a lot of managers and like CEOs and whatever do usually do a master's of business. And I remember flying to Melbourne and being in this room of incredible people, and like, you know, they all had big titles and stuff, and I was like, I'm just a supervisor. Who the fuck am I to be here? Like, you know, and I think that you know, shows that limiting belief of like, I don't think I'm good enough. And yeah, it's just really interesting. And like, you know, at the end of the day, they're just people. And like, I got along with all like a lot of them. And it was an incredible experience. And I think the other thing about study is like I know a lot of people, especially in the entrepreneur world, I get it. Not everyone needs university. Because like if you need a specific skill, like you can go and learn it. I think it's just like if you know exactly what you want to learn and like how to go about it, then yeah, that's fantastic instead of spending heaps and heaps of money on a degree. But for me, like I think it was that structure that I needed. And like every single unit that we did, like I met more people, I worked with more people. I also worked with like a lot of not-for-profit organizations and like actually did projects for them. And I think it just taught me so much about business, obviously, other people and how they work, but also like how to work with other people, but also about myself. Like that I did have the capability to do whatever I thought that I couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
um
Piling on kind of like layers and layers of exactly what you need to kind of lift yourself.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
like
like
that
I
too. Yeah.
sorry, you're
Sorry.
like
I cut out there. Go ahead.
um yeah, and it is quite interesting with university. Like I feel like it definitely has added grown me as a person overall. Um but what was I thinking of? I lost my train of thought. Grown me as a person. No, it's gone.
That's okay. You needed university to build yourself up and go through all the steps there so that you could.
It's gone.
That's okay.
Expected that to happen earlier on.
No, don't worry about it.
But yeah, like I think also another limiting belief is like I guess thinking that everyone else is better than me. And um it was quite interesting. It is quite interesting because that still pops up to this day, right? And oh, I remembered what I was about to say. And I realize now that marks, like, and it's actually quite a good reminder. Like, I'm getting people that I thought was better than me, and this is not what I mean, better person or anything like that, but like for some reason could do the work better than me. They're getting lower grades than me, and I was like, well, that's a fucking slap in the face, Kat. Like, you need to actually think of yourself a little bit better.
Yeah, the evidence is there.
I don't think that grades are everything. I don't. I think that, yeah, university is good for me in a certain way, but then also it actually adds that I've realized that layer of conditioning to think that you need to fit inside this box to get a grade. And if this person says that you are not this grade, then you're not good enough. So I think it's good in a way, but it also adds a layer of conditioning that I'm well aware of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well said. But at least you're aware and you can break out of it. But at least you can take that little, like, I got better grades than these people with you into like the scary boardroom or the scary public speaking thing and be like, I fucking got this because this is like my little reminder that like the people around me aren't better than me.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. And I don't think that I'm better than anyone. It's more just about realizing that my self-worth needs to be a bit higher for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a massive journey, like massive. So, you know, I'm working on it.
Mm. Yeah. Well, you can
Um,
believe like I'm better than these people just for like the moment. I'm not saying you're saying that you're better than them forever. I don't think anyone's better than anyone. Everyone is
yeah, yeah,
equal, but it is important to have that like, yeah, that just like empowering thought and that just like force behind you being like because you've been putting yourself on like a lower tier underneath them, being like, I'm not good enough. I think it's really important to go to the other side and just fucking reach for it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It was such a good point. Um, and yeah, so like I guess I kind of want to go back to like talk a little bit about FIFO, and the experience there. Like it's so interesting because like in WA, as you might know, like there's a lot of people who are FIFO, right? And so I went from being in that oil and gas company to in Perth to being FIFO. And I feel like it gave me a lot of different things, right? I think being away and going away and like starting a new job offers quite a lot of self, I guess, development because you're like forced to live a different way, meet different people, learn a different job, be in a completely different environment, and also work fucking long hours during the day. So yeah, it was interesting there. And I remember getting the job, and it was like literally someone who was like packing shelves, like a warehouse operator. And I remember, I think it was a night shift, and I was just so bored because you know how I said that I love learning and I love using my brain, and it's like there's just got to be more to this. Like I just can't do this much longer. So I started putting my hand up, for supervisor, like step up supervisor, and before like not long, I ended up getting the supervisor role, and like I loved it. I think I liked the responsibility. I realized I love like organizing things and coordinating things, and just like communicating with people as well, and like organizing the team. And just getting shit done. Like I like achieving things as well. Um, but yeah, like I was FIFO for like almost 7 years, and so it was good in some aspects, but because like I was doing a week on, week off, and it allowed me to have time to go traveling around the world and the money to go traveling around the world. So I went to lots of different places. Like you take off a week, you get 3 weeks off. Um, and I think travel for me, like being able to travel, oh my God. And I feel like this is fundamental belief of mine that everyone should travel.
Mm.
Which is probably why Laura and I have conflict over that. um, but yeah, I just think it is just so wonderful to go and see other cultures and learn about like different countries and experience different things, and like it's also a nice reminder like how good we have it here. Like
Yeah.
the like we were saying before, the beaches that we have, like just everything. Yeah, it gives a really nice is polarity the word.
To everything. Yeah. Like, yeah,
Mm,
even just the beaches are just like they just set the bar here. We were talking about it before. Like yeah, it really shows you a comparison of like how we live and how others live. And yeah, but just traveling in itself just opens up like the floodgates of people around the world. They're just people. Everyone's the same. Everyone's just trying to do the same thing. Everyone's just, trying to achieve, trying to love, trying to do all the same things. I feel like that's what I learned a lot of from traveling is just no matter where you go, it's the same experience. It's still just the human experience. But
mm. I just love learning about the cultures, like
yeah,
especially when you go to the poorer country, like third world countries, and like they look so happy. And it's like, oh my God, we have so much.
mm,
And like we have a very high depression rate, or there's a lot of people that are unhappy. And it's like, oh, like we need to wake up a little bit, I think.
yeah. Well, we are fed a lot of like, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough through social media,
Mm,
probably. And they're just like a blissfully, like literally living in their mindfulness space, being like, this is my existence. I sit here like daily, or like I do this daily, and I have my beautiful family, and that's all that matters. And yeah, we can take a huge, huge page out of their books, honestly.
yeah. And I think solo travel for me was also really, really good. Like I went to Alaska and Canada by myself. Like I went to New Zealand twice by myself. Oh God, I went a few places by myself. But I don't know, it like kind of I was already on the path of like self-development, self-discovery, but I feel like it opened my soul so much more, like to what's out there in life. And the conversations that I would have with other travelers, like I'd literally just meet another hike, like traveler, and be like, "Do you want to go hiking?" Because I couldn't go hiking alone. There was like bears and stuff.
Mm.
As if,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, um, but yeah, and like you'd have the most fucking heartfelt, soulful conversations with these random people just hiking mountains. Like I don't know, it was just so eye-opening to me and like so fulfilling and so purposeful. It just yeah, I just love it. Like it really helped my soul open up a little bit more, I think. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
It's so beautiful when you meet more people like that that will just like open up and have a conversation with you. And yeah, it's interesting though when you come back from those experiences and you're just like so open to talking to people for ages and like going into their soul with your conversations, and then you meet people that like kind of haven't experienced that before and you're like, oh, sorry. We diving
Yeah.
into the deep too fast for you.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think that if you think about it, people who are traveling, they don't have like necessary, like they don't have a routine like that. You know, here we go to work, we go to see family, we go to see friends, rah, rah, rah. And when we're traveling, it's like whatever we want, doesn't matter. It's freedom, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, so it kind of like creates that space, and that adventure, I suppose, to like open up a bit more and have those conversations. And I think what I take from that is like, how can we take that feeling or behavior and try and add it into your weekly routine at home so that you don't necessarily feel like you're waiting all year to feel like that. Like, which I think I've managed to build into my life. And I'm so grateful that you and Harmony have come into my life because it's like I feel that when I'm with you guys.
Oh,
Like
that's
it's
great.
social chats, it's like we're doing something we love, we're fully present, it's not rushing from thing to thing. It's yeah, it's good. And I think
Yeah. It's like shaking
I
life up as well. And yeah, it's just beautiful.
yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, so back to FIFO, like I think those are some of the good things that I guess I gained from it. But I think I want to share it because like so many people I've heard are so trapped in FIFO. And I think that they feel like they can't get out. And I felt the same for so long because I was like wanting to get out for years. Um and I just thought I couldn't. Like, I thought I couldn't afford it. Like there's all these limiting beliefs that come up, but actually you always find a way if you really want to. Um, sorry, my dog's barking.
That's okay.
Hey!
But yeah, I get that. And like the people there, like it just like it just like snowballs because everyone feels that way. So then those are the people in your
Yeah,
surroundings. So then you're like, oh, they don't think there's a way out. So I still don't think there's a way out. It's just a hectic
100%.
environment.
100%. And you're so right. And the other thing is because no one really wants to be there, they talk about that a lot. And so it's actually really negative conversation. Like I wouldn't say that everyone is negative. Like there was obviously some people that I met that aren't like that and they like the gym or whatever. But there's a lot of people that spend their time going, this place is shit, hate this, whatever. And so it creates this like really negative, like shitty energy because you already don't want to be away from home. And then you're hanging out with people who are negative. And like, I do not surround myself with people like that anymore. Like, I just don't. It's just not worth it. Like, if I
Yeah.
can help it, of course.
Yeah, agree.
um, and I think because of that, like I started developing, like I was always into the gym, like I said. And then because I just wanted out and I was so like starting to get happy and I'd apply for all these jobs and all of the jobs would be like, you don't have this experience, you only have warehousing experience, whatever. So it's like, oh, I'm constantly getting knocked back and knocked back. And so yeah, like I was stressed out. Ended up dropping the gym as well, like something that I actually loved. And I'd work a 12-hour day and then I'd just want to eat. Like I would like start eating to numb my pain. And of course, because FIFO, they give you all the food. Like I wouldn't say I was like overweight or anything, but definitely unhealthy, and I created like health issue for myself because I was eating so much bad shit and mentally not okay at all. And I think it's quite sad to reflect on because a lot of people think that they don't have an out. A lot of people think, and then like a lot of people don't know how to cope with that, I guess, emotion. And so eating is like one of the main things people would do, I believe. But I definitely did it anyway.
Yeah, it's
And,
the easiest one to fall into, kind of, because we got to do it every day anyway. But yeah,
exactly.
there's not a lot of people that would be like strong enough to, be knocked back by a lot of jobs, or be, looking at job postings and being like, no, I can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, and just kind of keep going and keep wanting to get out. Yeah. And then they would just, and then the bad food just makes your emotions worse, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so sad. And like, they don't post about it or anything, but someone told me the suicide rate of like FIFO people the other day, and it's just it's really sad to think about. But anyway, like study for me helped me get another job. Um, and I'm so grateful for that. Like it ended up being a job that I quit, but I'm grateful that it got me out of FIFO. Like it was at a time when I was just like, I think I was working 12-hour days, flying twice a week, flying up to site and back, studying. So I was like, work a 12-hour day, like get up at 4 or probably earlier, work a 12-hour day, come home, study, and then like fly twice a week. And I think at that same time, my dad got cancer, and I remember asking my superintendent because at the time I had a lot of work on the computer, and they were sort of like becoming okay, like the company was becoming okay with like working from home a lot more. And so I said to her, I was like, hey, what are the chances of working from home 2 days a week, like in the other 2 days on site? And she suggested, she's like, why don't you quit study and you can fly up and back 4 times a week? And I was like, what?
How is that a
So
solution to anything?
my dad's just got cancer. Like I'm trying to make life for myself with study. I am actually a really high performing supervisor, and you want me to do that? Like I'm already telling you that I'm burnt out as fuck. And yeah, anyway, so I was like, that was a big smack in the face, and I was like, I just want to fucking out. Yeah. So
I don't blame you.
anyway, oh, man. And so this manager job came up, and I got it at a different company in Perth. And I remember thinking, oh, cool, this is what I'm studying for, Masters of Business. I always wanted to be a manager. And I guess that same mindset of like wanting to move up and better myself and everything. And then I got into the role and I was like, this isn't what I want.
Mm, that's okay.
I
It
was
still got you where you needed to be, really.
Yeah, I think everything is a learning experience for sure. Like everything's going to teach you something, what you do want or what you don't want. Like, so I still learnt a lot. It's just I then started to realize after like 7 months, I'm like, something feels off. Something feels so off with this company. Like my values were being crossed massively. And I just knew I just had to quit. I didn't have another job, had savings, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna quit. And at that particular time, I also found Miss Mindset free, and that her course helped me realize like my values were not aligned. There's better things out there, and yeah, I was like, nah, I'm not staying. I just cannot work for these people.
Mm. Yeah, perfect
Um,
timing then.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was perfect timing, and yeah, I think that course really, really helped me develop my mindset further, of course. And also, I guess it just helps you really map out like what do you actually want in life. Um, and I guess gaining clarity around that for sure.
What did you realize when you were there? Like what did you start doing after that? Where did you go?
So while I was doing that course, I realized I was like, definitely realized I was not happy in my current position. There was something completely off. And like I was saying to you the other day, like I guess around that time, starting to feel more and more in tune with my intuition and my body telling me something that is not right. Um, and yeah, so I quit, and I always wanted to start a my own business. Um, actually, funny story. Like while I was five, I was like, oh, because I've always kind of had interesting ideas. So my idea was like a healthy vending machine because I don't know if you've ever felt it, but like there's a lot of vending machines, not nowadays, but
I don't
20
even
years ago.
see the vending machines anymore because I'm like, they're just garbage. They're still garbage. Everything that's in
Oh,
there, fake,
not not
healthy
all of
if it
them.
is.
A couple of years ago, yeah. Anyway, so I
Yeah.
had this idea of like a healthy vending machine company because I was like, get sick of having only unhealthy options, right?
Mm,
Um, but anyway, so I didn't launch that because I didn't feel that was good enough.
fuck. The world still needs that. Just put more out there.
But yeah, so when I found the mindset course, I was like, I have always been so drawn to leadership, learning about leadership. Like I have like tons of leadership books. I've always been drawn to that. And I've also been drawn to that because I have had really good managers, but also not so good managers. And I'm like so passionate about, I guess, creating certain workspace, work environment, leading your team properly. Because people spend half their life at work. It's like I just think leadership is so fucking important. So yeah, I quit my job, started working on my business idea, also signed up to Steph Gorton's course, which is also really good. Um, and yeah, like I developed a course and programs and everything and branding, and I didn't launch it. um, I
Was there a
think my
deeper reason or was
intuition.
it the same reason? Was there another reason?
There's definitely a limiting. There's still a limiting belief that I have to know everything.
Yeah.
Um, in my books, I'm like, man, these CEOs of billion-dollar companies, like they are so much better than me. Who the fuck am I to think that
They're just
I can?
winging it, darling. There's literally a girl that
I,
wrote a book that's called Winging It, and she's $1 million
yeah,
CEO.
I know, and I know this. But
Yeah.
at the same, so I think it was like tied up in limiting beliefs, but also I think my intuition was honestly telling me something that it's not necessarily the right thing for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um, Yeah, and I think so. I had a nice conversation with Harmony one day at breakfast, and she's like, "Look, you're obviously capable of doing the leadership stuff, but when you light up and talk about this other business idea, which is into adventurous activities, your face, your body, your everything lights the fuck up." And I'm like, I know, but I've worked for like 5 months trying to develop this, and I just didn't listen to it.
Mm.
Well, I listened, but I don't know.
Sometimes
I
you
guess
just
I was
gotta, sometimes you gotta just do it and make it and create it and get it out of your system and then realize that's totally fine. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I guess nothing not everything is a success like
It's a success in
straight
its
away.
own way, really. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't like it doesn't necessarily have to be the right thing for you. Like you may, like you said, develop it and then realize maybe I'm not that passionate about this. Maybe I actually am passionate about this other thing and I just wasn't listening. Um, and I think that's what it was. So anyway, I'd like had 7 months off work and I kind of burned through my cash. So I was like, I need to like find a job just to get some cash. And so messaged Laurie's friend who was a quarry manager and just was like, do you have any work? So I started driving dump trucks in a quarry in Perth for like a couple of, I think it was about a month, maybe 6 weeks,
That would be
just to get the
cool.
cash.
Is that what you
Yeah,
did at FIFO too?
no,
Like
I was
stuff
like a
like
supervisor.
constructioning? No. Oh.
No, I was a supervisor in at FIFO, but yeah. So I thought the same. I was like, oh, this will be fun.
Yeah.
I think in like first two shifts, or maybe the first shift, 10-hour shift, I was like, this is so boring. Like,
Oh no. I'm exactly the same. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. And like, I've always loved trucks or whatever. And then you go do it and you're like, cool, I've done the experience and now I'm bored 1 hour later. Like the experience
yeah.
excitement is over.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's like if you're a person that thrives off learning, like the initial learning phase is good because I can already drive things and ride things, whatever. I pick it up really quick. So yeah, once I pick it up, I'm like, okay, this
Mm.
is kind of boring. Like, how the fuck do you guys do this every day? Like,
Some people thrive in the sameness of every day when that's like totally fine.
yeah,
Yeah, to each
yeah,
everyone's different, to each their own. Mm. Thankfully,
yeah,
thankfully everyone's a little bit different. So thankfully everyone fits into wherever they want to be and then they can be happy in that role and you can be happy in your own role where you're finding out your own, well, you're creating your own business and it's just gonna be fucking amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think again, like I guess saying yes to experiences at the time because they've popped up don't necessarily have to be things that you stick to for like a long time. Like, you know, I'm sure that working at the quarry was only meant to come into my life and remind me of certain things at that time, but I wasn't meant to stay. And then they put me in this weigh bridge where you weigh trucks and oh actually I drove the loader, that was fun. A big
Nice.
loader like dumping dirt.
Yeah.
So I actually like that because you actually have to use your brain because you're using like both hands, feet, brake, like everything at the same time. So you kind of have to think about it.
That's cool.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And then they put me in the weigh bridge and yeah, they were like, how did you learn this so quick? Because I pick up things real quick and I'm like, it's not that hard. Like you just anyway. But my lesson from that is that I was missing structure. I think when you quit your job and you're like, cool, I'm going to start a business. And I was studying my MBA still. I was doing the mindset course, I was doing the business course, and I was like, I think I was just fucking overwhelmed with too much content and not enough structure in my life. Because if you go from working for someone else, like you, I don't know, you've just got that more structure, which I'm sure you're probably really good at now.
Yeah. Took me ages. I completely, yeah. There's zero structure in being an entrepreneur and no one tells you how to do anything. And then, well, actually, a million people tell you how to do everything. And then there's no like structure in that. So you're just like,
Yeah.
wean through it. It's hectic. It's a whole nother kettle of fish is literally the expression.
Oh, and it's the conditioning or limiting belief. I guess
Mm.
it's a limiting belief. But like when you go from working for someone else and you go for like working a 9 to 5 or whatever it is, then when you become and you quit and you're like, cool, I'm going to do my own thing and I'm going to make my own hours, then you actually feel kind of guilty for like going to the beach or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
I caught myself feeling that sometimes, especially when Laurie would go to work and then I don't know, decide to take half a day off to go bushwalking or something. Like
Yeah.
you feel the guilt, but you're like, no, my soul needs this. And so yeah, it's just a kind of interesting awareness, I think. But
Yeah.
um
It is hard to understand for people that don't like that do have that structure still. And they do have to be really understanding, I think, because like to see that you going to bushwalk for a bit makes your creativity better or it makes your everything else flow better and makes, yeah, it just makes your business run better and makes you be able to actually like create yourself a structure and your structure doesn't look like the typical structure. Yeah, it's really
yeah,
hard for people to understand. And for yourself to
definitely.
understand even, yeah, let go of that mentality, right?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so the quarry was a good reminder, I think, that I wanted a bit more structure and so I actually reached out to my old boss, who had already tried to get me to come over to his company. and I started there. So it's an engineering firm in Perth. I actually like it. Like, I like the people, I like the company, like the culture there. Like, it's just different to other businesses that I've been in. It's not big corporate, it's more family orientated, a lot more flexibility. And I think that that's what I was missing, because if I was to think about going back to working for someone else, that I didn't like the culture, I didn't like the people, the work was, I wasn't learning anything in the work, and there was no flexibility, I just wouldn't do it. Like, no fucking way. I've built way too many things into my life that I know fills my soul up, that just going to a job that pays me well is not good enough anymore. Like, this job, I'm learning a heap because I get to improve processes within the business. Obviously, I'm learning off other people as well who have a lot of experience, but they give me the flexibility to work from home whenever I want. And so that means I can get up at 5 and I can go to the gym and I can take the puppy for a run, or I can skip the gym and I can go to the beach. Like, just, I guess, flexibility. Like, I hope that other organizations stick with a bit more flexibility, because if I just, it makes me feel sad that people like spend 2 hours a day sitting in traffic and sitting at a desk, and then they get home and they're tired and they don't have any time for anything that fills their cup. And it's like, no,
Yeah, makes me
there's more
sad
to
too.
life. Like,
So
there's
much.
more to,
Yeah. It sounds like this job is like the perfect, like another layer, another stepping stone for you, because it won't be like as shell shocked when you do fully become an entrepreneur, because you have that flexibility in your day. You like have a little bit of structure, but not too much structure. It sounds like it's gonna be really good.
yeah, yeah. So I think the other thing is the values in the business, like trust.
Yeah.
Trust is massive. And people feel that. Like, if the like in the previous company there was no trust. There was no trust at all. I was supposed to be a manager, and it's like, ugh, they just wanted to micromanage everything from the top. And it doesn't feel good. Like, people recognize that, and it builds a negative culture. Whereas this company, they trust. They trust you to get your job done, and I'm the person that if I get trust, I will go a million miles for that person. Like, I will do a good job because, like, that's just my values. But yeah, it's just interesting, and I hope people reflect on how their workplace feels for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even my partner, even Dylan, like, so he's in the Navy and he's in the dive team now, and it just makes me think of, so he's been in so many postings that have been like negative and have been like draining, and it's because there was no trust. It's because
Yes.
they didn't treat him as an adult. But like being on this dive team now, and it's just something I wanted to point out because it's really interesting, because they're like high pressure people, like SAS type people, they go
Mm.
dive, they blow up mines, and you have to trust your team, and like so much, because literally your life depends on it. And there's just such a good culture, even to the point of where Dylan is, like, he's the coxswain, he's the police in their unit. And even to him, like, the trust goes so far. And like, even the SAS, they're not like the best of the best. They're more like really, really good. But the important part is that the team structure and the team working together is really, really good. That's way more important than one of them being like, or like each of them being the best of the best, right? Because then they don't work together. They
Yeah,
don't work as a team. The trust is the most important thing. I just think that's really interesting.
yeah,
That's how high pressure things work. Yeah. So it's huge. It's so cool that you found that. It's so great.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it's quite interesting because I guess that leads into like my business idea that I'm working on. Like, I don't have any plan to leave my job now just yet.
Mhm.
I'm kind of estimating in my mind a couple of years, like, just to build it up and as a side hustle, I suppose. Or at least that's what I put in the business plan for a while.
I feel like you're
Um,
just gonna go full on. That's just me though. That's just how I
I
feel.
actually really like where I work at the moment. Like, it. I don't know. I think when it feels right, it'll happen for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, like there's just no rush. I don't need to, it just needs to come back to me. Like, how does it make me feel? Like, do I really want to quit and do this thing, or am I happy to do both and side hustle, kind of thing?
yeah.
I
You'll just
guess
feel
just
into
leaning
it.
into it.
It's
Yeah.
so good. Do you just tell us a bit more about it, I guess? Because it's going to be called, well, if you want to just tell us the name and everything, just go into it. It's going to be awesome.
Wild Child Adventures.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So
Really
I guess I
good.
should explain what the actual name means because I pitched this to the university, and the guy that was judging us was from Silicon Beach. And he was like, "Oh, I don't really understand the name. Like you were talking about wild child," and he took it too directly. Um, and it's supposed to be an indirect word, meaning of like feeding your inner child. And like I guess it really links in with everything that I've described before. It's like, doesn't necessarily have to be trauma related, but talking about the workplace, for example, and it's like people become adults and you're all lots of adulting, and it's like, they spend 2 hours in traffic a day and they're sitting in a computer all day. It's like, where is the sense of fun? Where are you feeding your inner child? Like I think for me, adventure adventuring and exploring, you think about what a child does, like they're learning different things, they're experiencing different things. And like, why can't adults have that too? And it doesn't necessarily have to be every day, but at least build it in during the week. So you're not waiting for the weekend to go and have fun, to experience things. And I think, yeah, so that's what Wild Child Adventures means, like feeding your inner child through adventure. And it's for women. Um, and I guess my target market is around 25 to 35.
Mm-hmm. So me.
And I guess like
Yeah.
that.
So me. But yeah, no. Just kidding.
And I guess the reason for that age group is I understand that people with like obviously people of that age can also have children, but I understand that when people have children, like it just takes so much more time. Like they don't necessarily have the time to go and drive to a hike or go dirt biking or whatever. So, but I know from personal experience that people come out of a party phase and then not everyone has hobbies or sports. And they're like, what's next? What can fill my cup? Like, what can I like, what can I do to bring some more fun and adventure into my life? Um, and so that's what I want to offer with Wild Child Adventures. It's a little bit different to what's currently on the market, but it's for the exception of hiking. But I want to offer hiking for women. I want to offer mountain biking adventures for women, and I also want to offer dirt biking coaching for women.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So yeah, it's super exciting. I've been thinking about this concept for years. And I started dirt bike coaching last year on its own. And it was just so fucking cool. Like it wasn't scary. Whereas I feel like the leadership business, it was always so scary. I don't know, like it just didn't feel right. Whereas I've realized now, like if you're meant to do something, I feel like it should be more in flow. And it should feel there's obviously still fear and judgment and everything that comes up, but I just feel like there should be a sense of ease, a little bit more ease when you're meant to do something. Um, yeah, so I helped 19 women. They came to my two different events, and it was just so cool, like just connecting with other chicks and also recognizing like their fears and their judgment of themselves and thinking that they're not good enough. And then at the end of the weekend, they're like, "Fuck yeah, I did that!" Like, and they were way better than what they thought, and they progressed so much. Like, it's just like it lights my soul on fire, like it really does. Like um yeah, it just makes me so happy to see, and I just want to keep going with that for sure.
Mm.
And I guess offering a safe space for women to come, because I know what it's like being in a male dominated sport. Like it's intimidating. I have met so many good people. So I'm not saying anything bad against males at all. Like there's been so many males in my life that have helped me along the way and they've taught me things and everything. But I also recognize like the intimidation of being so male dominated and women feeling like they're not good enough. And, if they can't push through that or they don't have someone that they can go to, like a female mentor, then they might not do it. So
Like
I
women
want,
would. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I want to create a brand that offers that fun, supportive, encouraging environment where they can come, they can feel no judgment, they meet other like-minded women. They could potentially be trying something they've never tried before, or I know other women who've got a bike, but they don't have anyone to go with, and they don't necessarily want to go with a group of guys that they don't know. So yeah, it's all centered around that concept. And I think with the hiking, it was interesting trying to pitch this because they kind of don't go together with people that don't really understand what's in my brain. But it's kind of like the hard and the soft. If you think about, and I'll probably screw this up, but like if you think about mountain biking and dirt biking, like it is a bit like adrenaline, masculine, kind of like doing, achieving, learning. Whereas I feel like the hiking is softer and it creates like an environment to create that space in someone's life and also like the ability to connect on a deeper level. Whereas riding, you're not necessarily talking and having soul chats, for example. So it's a different frequency, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you're bringing that feminine into it, the feminine energy
Yeah.
in with the hiking, which I don't know. I'm in your brain, I guess, so I get it. I completely get how it fits. And it's like, if I don't want to go dirt biking because that's too much, I'm going to go for a hike though, because like the same cool women are going to be there. Or I'm going to go for a mountain
Yeah.
bike because I have a mountain bike and like the same cool women are going to be there. Like it all makes sense. It's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny how you said they didn't understand the wild child adventures either. I was like, there's another way to look at this. Oh, okay. Yeah, they don't. I was like, inner child, that's what it is. It makes sense. But it's so cool that that perspective was brought up to you because you've been doing this in school. So it's really, really good that you can kind of like tweak it and understand how it would be looked at. It's so cool.
Yeah. It is interesting because like not everyone talks about energies or like talks about inner child or anything
I
like
always
that.
forget now.
Like I know, and it's like maybe in university they're a lot more direct, but if you look about a lot of branding and names, like they're not always that direct. They can mean something, or they have a vibe to it, or something like that. But
Mm.
it's not super direct, like
He's
web design or whatever.
But they're not your target audience. Like your target audience will get that. I feel like they will 100% get it. They're like, I am stuck in this, yeah, constant adulting. I'm stuck in this like boringness of day in, day out kind of thing. And I want something to shake it up. And they'll be like, well, that
Yeah.
sounds fun. That sounds like it sounds feminine and flowy in a way still. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
have fun and do that and with cool women. Like that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's really cool.
Mm. Yay. I'm so excited. So yeah, I'm going to aim to launch later on this year, but first I need to finish my master's. So I'm learning not to put too much on my plate.
Yeah, you do everything so fast anyway, so you'll be fine. But June is just around the corner, and then what's it going to be like a couple months after that, and then you'll be going, and I'll be on
Pretty
all
much.
of your adventures. Just saying.
Yay. So exciting.
So cool. Being there for all the soul chats, those women will be good. And my God, when we went dirt biking, like you were such a good dirt bike coach. It's so natural for you. It was so relieving going with you. Like I said, like when I dirt biked in Vegas and it was all guys and they were like, here's a steep hill, good luck. When I was like, I ride on the road typically.
Yeah,
It's such a different environment and they just throw you in because they don't think the same as you. It's no fault to them. They're fun and
yeah.
being around guys like pushes you and it challenges you in so many ways. But sometimes you're just like, I need a little bit of, a little bit more
Softer.
Yeah, aftercare.
Yeah, encouraging.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
You just
for sure.
understood, and you like really you coached me like I was nervous. It's always nerve-wracking just doing something new,
Yeah.
or something I haven't done in a long time. Like I haven't dirt biked in a while, and I was like, oh God, but I was like completely comfortable because you were comfortable and you were able to, I don't know, just put me at ease, and you helped me and you taught me stuff, and it was really, really awesome. So it was,
Oh, it was so good. We have to go again.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you could just see how much you were in flow. And I can completely relate to you where you were saying like just the leadership thing, it just felt so much scarier. There's so many things where I've done the same, trying to push myself into, in that box, being like, that's something I want to do, but it's not really aligning with me, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's the only way that I see that I can do what I want to do. And sometimes that
Mhm.
like huge amount of fear, I think is more in there than just fear, but you can just never find it. You never understand what it is until
Yeah,
until you look back and you go, yeah, that wasn't meant to be. Yeah.
yeah. I think there's always layers. But I guess the best we can like layers to like fear or conditioning or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I guess like the best we can do is like try and feel into that. And like I guess the more you do that, well, for me anyway, the better I've gotten at it. And I certainly am. I think I will be learning for the rest of my life. Like, but yeah, it's so interesting to feel into fear. Is like, is this fear? Do I want to push through this fear, or is this fear of like full on danger that's like going to hurt my body? Then it's like, no, I don't want to like kill myself.
Yeah, it's hard to
Like,
distinguish. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like you just know in your body, like if you're standing on the edge of a cliff, you know that that's danger, massive danger. Whereas there's other fear that, you know, maybe it's fear of getting on the bike because you haven't been on it for a long time. It's like, I guess consciously you can walk yourself through that and be like, no, I'll be fine. Like I've got a coach there. I'll just take it slow. Like there's things thought patterns, I guess you can build in to help you overcome that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, especially when you don't have like the muscle memory, or it's something you've not done, or yeah, you just having those like little routines of like, no, it's okay, this person's here, or yeah,
Yeah.
just this little checklist in your brain kind of, yeah.
I guess it's emotional regulation, isn't it? Because it's like you regulating that fear and moving through it and not letting it overcome you. Because you know that's something that you want to do. Like me doing a 4-day enduro scares the absolute shit out of me.
Yeah. And you've already done some and they sounded like terrifying to me, and you're just like, yeah, I'll go do it again.
Yeah, you just gotta jump in sometimes because you know when it will be good for you and you know when things won't
Mhm.
be good. You know what I mean? Like I guess it's just knowing yourself. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I can, yeah, definitely relate. I don't think 4 days will teach me what I need to know. Like a couple hours will teach me the same. But I will be cheering you on through those 4 days.
Thank
Um,
you.
but yeah, I've ridden for like, a day, and I was like, I can't lift the bike up anymore. You're just dropping and you can't lift it up. And yeah, but how many days did you do before? You did so many. Two days?
So in Perth we do a 2-day enduro, almost I think it's every year. The 2-day enduro. But yeah, I have done a 4-day enduro.
Fuck.
When was it, like a couple of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But I only made it to day 3 and I've learned a lot since then. Like I didn't eat properly because I was worried about the time. I wasn't as good a rider, so I was pushing because you got to meet these time limits, right? And so you don't want to be you don't want to be failed out of the race. Like you want to meet the time. So if you're so worried about that, and I was like, oh, I don't have time to eat. I don't have time to stop. But unfortunately, your body will stop you if you do not eat.
Mm, yeah. Fuck, you learn
Um,
that lesson the hard fucking way, but yeah.
I know. I nearly freaking sent myself to hospital like on day 3.
Oh my
Like
God.
I remember even after day 1, I could barely walk. And day after day two, I didn't get any sleep that night for sure because my body was in agony. Like every single muscle was just aching. And of course, that was keeping me awake, even with like Panadol and sleeping pills.
Oh my God.
Um, and then, of course, you got to get up again and do another day. And I think my skill level then it's definitely better now. So I'd be really interested to see how I'd go these days. But yeah, like it's just very fatiguing, like the fear, but also like fitness, the bike skills as well, and the lessons you learn along the way, like to save energy. Now I feel like I have a lot more tools in my toolkit. Um, but mentally, it was like definitely one of the toughest things I've ever done. Like I rode until I couldn't talk, walk, get off like nothing. Like I just nothing left in the tank.
Wow. That's hardcore. I would have just
Yeah,
been like, fuck this. But I'm gonna save my voice and everything, but not. You're
oh man, like I remember my coach was like, you may lose your mind because what happens when you deplete yourself so much, um, your mind obviously starts thinking certain things. And I remember like in the middle of the bush by myself, like, okay, like, what am I doing? What am I doing this for?
screaming into the bullshit.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Like, and I'd just fall off, and I'd have to pick up my bike off the side of this massive hill, which is obviously 100 kilos, and I had no energy. Like, I would fall off so much because all the trees were so narrow. You'd keep banging your bars, and then you'd fall off, and then you'd get up and you'd fall off, and it's like the mental thing there, and the energy is just like, oh, I don't think I recovered for like 4 weeks after that. So I just burned myself out.
Yeah,
So
that
the
sounds
goal is not to do that in May.
yeah. You're gonna do amazing. You have all the tools now. You have the mental tools, you have the physical tools, you have the writing skills. You got this. Yeah. So cool. Amazing. Is there anything else you wanted to cover? Because I know there's a few things you wanted to talk about.
I think that was it, like for my little storyline. Unless there's something else that you wanted me to talk about.
Well, I was just wondering if you have one piece of advice or inspiration, like particularly that you want to share with the listeners, something to help them like start their journey or continue the journey that they're on of like transformation, growth type thing.
Mhm. I think something that's landed for me over like reflecting over all these times is like learning to look inwards. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it landed for me. It really did because it's like, oh, study has conditioned me to look elsewhere all the time. And obviously, other life experiences, I always look elsewhere for the answers. But actually, like if you can look inwards and feel into what's right and wrong, like I think that is like an amazing starting point. And something that it would be good for everyone to practice because yeah, when you look elsewhere, I think you'll always be wondering, yeah, what the right answer is because you're not looking inwards.
Yeah, I can 100% relate to that. That's what happened only recently to me. You get caught up in everyone else's opinions and how to do things, and then you just lose
Yeah.
yourself completely, and you end up doing it in a way that isn't feeling good. And yeah, really the only thing you can do is start looking at what feels good for you, and then everything starts to fall into place, honestly. Or yeah, I guess it doesn't feel like it does, but it fucking does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
yeah. And I
advice.
think one other piece of advice, if I'm allowed, but
Yeah.
is like that's been really big for me, is learning to slow the fuck down mentally. Like I am just naturally a person that likes doing a lot of things, but like I said, it's like coming back to understanding why you're doing something. Are you doing all these things to distract yourself? Or are you doing it because it fills your cup and you know that it fills your cup and this is exactly what you need? And so that was massive for me. Like I used to fill my time because I wanted the distraction. Now I am consciously filling my time with my goals or my activities or alone time, whatever it is, but consciously doing it
Yeah.
because it feels my
Yeah. I'm glad you threw like alone time in there as well. Like it doesn't have to look like you're doing something all the time. Like doing
Yeah,
nothing is still so important. And even
definitely.
like you that schedules everything, you've realized that. And yeah, it's just really important.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Epic. Oh, you've nailed it. You've got all of it. Awesome. So, well, where can people find you and more about Wild Child Adventures as it grows throughout this year online?
So we're on Facebook, so Wild Child Adventures, and also Instagram. I don't have a website up yet, but I will be hiring yourself to make me one
Perfect.
before the end of the year.
Yeah, no problem. We'll get that sorted. But people can follow you on Instagram if you want your personal one, or if not, then up to you.
Yeah, it's Perth Girl Adventures if you want to learn a little bit more about me and the activities that I do in my personal life.
Yeah, you should fucking follow her, everyone. It's so good. When I found you and I was coming to Perth and I was like, oh my God, there are people like her in Perth. Oh my God, they're like my soul people. And now here we are, having us friends.
I know. I was like, I met you and I was like, I need to be friends with this girl.
Oh, I love
We were
that.
meant to meet.
Yeah, we were. And just lift each other up, lift the tide together.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Oh,
Yeah,
epic. And live in alignment. That's what we're gonna do.
100%. Definitely.
So cool. Awesome. All right. So wrap it up, I guess. Thank you so, so much for being here and sharing your story and going deep and getting it all out there. And it's going to mean the world to everyone that listens to it. I'm sure there'll be pieces that everyone will take away from this. So thank you. And yeah, it's been amazing.
Thank you so much for having me and holding space for me.
No worries. Literally my favorite thing now. And I used to hate public speaking, but this public speaking forum is what wasn't scaring the shit out of me. So this is it.
It
And
feels right.
it feels right. Yeah. And the connections and it's amazing. Thank
So
you
good.
again. Oh,
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
yeah, have an amazing night. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. It was all raw and real, and I hope you enjoyed that about it. We had such a fun time recording it. It doesn't even really matter, but I freaking hope you did enjoy it. Please do screenshot this episode, add it to your Instagram stories, and tag me, tag Kat if you did find some takeaways from it. If you did learn some stuff, if you did enjoy it, that would be awesome. Thanks so much for being here today. I'm so freaking grateful to have shared this space with you and for you to have shared this space with me today. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a quick review. With your help, we can help more people feel the incredible depths of transformation through stories and teachings shared here. I believe everyone needs a slight aha moment, and I'd love to be able to provide that for more people who are really ready to deep dive into it and take on the self-discovery and transformation journey themselves and create the life that they truly want. Thank you again. I appreciate it so much. And please, please remember, you can do anything you have heard here today, and you can do anything. You've got this.